I shared a love and full dot somebody. For sure.
Things change.
We're gonna give her about 5 more minutes, see if anybody else shows up. You will? Yeah.
I was told one time the audience is one other person, anything after that is good.
True statement.
He's able to stand now.
Does it
For a few minutes, for him to transfer. Get out of the chair.
51 years.
Yeah, I'm keeping it in the car. This is my house.
Control, even though he
Then I have
was
one in
doing
the car, so if I forget, all this happens. And I
A1C.
love the car line down there. Just put down and- Why would that?
Everybody knows what it is.
When you hang it on the counter and you do your business. I think the last you came here, I'm so thankful for that. I lost her at 4.
That's good.
Sir?
This is good stuff.
Yeah, I didn't really want to detail it, but next time we'll follow this. I didn't want to throw so much at people. Well, some of it can be You know, when you're not sick,
I drove by there
today, you see,
That's what I was looking for.
they were probably down in practice and they were supposed to finish them up today. Somebody did in practice. They're supposed to have a couple of games. That's coming. It was coming.
I know I'm not probably the number one. is the,
So he was
chief
able to
operating officer of the EDC. And
he had made it through that.
And they contract with the city. They don't, but they actually, they're contractors. Very
Okay, we're gonna get started. I was hoping we'd have one here. I've talked to a lot of people on the phone, and we posted this out on our Facebook page and on a couple other pages to let people know we were having this, and it did get posted to the city side, and we do appreciate that. A lot of them had a lot of questions answered when we talked on the phone and sent them information via Facebook. So it really doesn't surprise me we don't have more here tonight. We're gonna have one more of these next month because, and periodically, we're probably gonna have one of these like every quarter because I think it's important that we let everybody in the city know where we're at, what we're doing, get input from everybody because we're getting to a point now to where things are starting to happen. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on that tonight, but we will be following up with more information on that. So we're really excited about where we're at right now. Before we get started, I want to have all the board members introduce themselves. Sure you guys know me. I'm Rudy Dudley. I'm the president. And we'll just go around the table. Randy, we'll start with you.
I'm Randy Hodges.
Josie Catchday?
Terry Reeves.
Norm Allen.
Carrie McGinnis.
Mitchell Cox.
Darlene is our administrative secretary, does all of our minutes and our book work for us. We have an open slot and we have proposed, the only person we had that turned in an application for that was Carol Munn. She will be going to the council tomorrow night for approval. She couldn't be here tonight. She had a death in the family. Her husband passed on the 12th, so that's why she's not here. Appreciate you guys remembering her in your prayers, if you would, please. Basically, we wanted to have this as an open forum, so we're going to go through a little bit of stuff here, and then we're going to open it up for question and answer, and we'll try to answer anything that we can for you. And if not, we'll get an answer. Basically, a lot of people don't even know what the EDC is and when it started and where it initiated from. It actually started in 1979. The Texas legislature adopted it. I gave all of you a handout with the PowerPoint slides on it. They're kind of small, I'm sorry, but I didn't want to waste a lot of paper since I'm paying for it. So, and that's okay. It doesn't matter who's paid for it other than the EDC. But anyway, if you need a copy of this or if you'd like me to, I'm going to be posting some of it on our Facebook page. So it will be public information. Anyway, the state set this thing up in 1979 to give the ability to raise funds and finance economic and community efforts. There are two types of EDCs. There is a type A and a type B. And that depends upon the authority that voters have and the city council has and or the type of projects that you can have and what you have to do. In 2000, actually way back in the early 2000s, Lone Star actually had an EDC. I can't validate this because the records are so hard to find. I don't know why, but I talked to the mayor back then and he told me that there were some issues, and so they closed the EDC at that point in time. And then in 2014, they reinstituted, brought it back again. It's been in existence since then. Randy was on it back then, I think. I don't know who all was on it back then. Mitch was on it, been on it for a long time. In 2018, they sent the certificate of filing to the Texas Secretary of State, sent it back saying everything was good to go. So at that point in time, I think it was done before that, but the state couldn't find the records on when it was done exactly, but they recognized it as of that point in time, so we don't have an issue with that. We file a franchise tax report every year. That report is set to be filed this time next week. We also file an economic development report that has all of our income and expenditures on it through the state. It goes on the state's website and any other individual and or city can go out there and look at it. That will also be filed next week. What do we do? Well, what we're trying to do is partner with business owners, corporations, non-business entities, because what we want to do is get us back on our feet. Everybody knows that back in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s and the early thousands, US and Lone Star Steel was the main employer around this part. And my understanding is, and Randy, you can validate this, what was the total employment at its height?
About 6,000 people.
About 6,000 people. So it encompassed a lot of people in this area. And at that point in time, my understanding is as soon as early on or late on as 2010, 2011, there was probably 20, 30, 40 businesses in the city of Lone Star.
Let me say something.
Sure, go ahead, Mitch.
Along with the 6,000 people that worked at Lone Star Steel, there were 52 trucking companies domiciled in this town. And there were probably 30 or 40 inspection companies that employed a lot of people around here. And we were the envy of Dansville and New Springs, I guarantee you. We had a lot of people working here. And all of these houses up here were full. And they didn't look like they look right now. People took care of their property. And one of the things that we're trying to do right now is renovate the city park. The city park was the place to be in the summertime.
Anyway, we're trying to work. Carrie made a good statement the other day. You were talking about being a nurse and what your opinion was of everything. Would you tell everybody what you said?
I don't remember what I said. Oh, yeah. The term I've been using when I speak to individuals that live in this community to give them an idea of where our city lies is you need to recognize that we were the parasite to the mill that was the supporter of the economy. As the mill began to wind down, it appears that no one developed an economic plan or a business plan for the city to move forward. And so now it results in the fact that we as the parasite, as parasites do, when you kill the host or the host leaves, they die. This city, in my opinion, is on life support. It doesn't appear that it has a strong, if any, economic plan, business plan, and it's operating on the basics, and those are not functioning well either. So it all comes from the fact, I believe, that there's no real plan that was ever established as the mill began to scale back to say, how do we survive and how do we keep not all 52 trucking companies, but how do we keep a percentage of those? How do we interact with those business owners to say, what is your plan to modify what you do to sustain life in this city and contribute to the tax base of this city? I don't know that those conversations ever took place. I wasn't here, but it appears that the city is just on life support. And I could be wrong.
The trucking company that I work for here, we loaded 120 trucks a day. We unloaded rail cars, probably 20 rail cars a day. We had 4 pipe yards. And we had over 200,000 tons of pipe on the ground ready to go at any time. And we also had a hospital, and we had an elementary school, and they just withered away. I grew up here. I moved here, my family moved here in 1957. I went to elementary school up here, I went to high school in Dansville, and it was a thriving community. You'd see people at church, all denominations, and it seemed like overnight it just withered away, and there was no plan, nobody taking the old bull by the horns and trying to get business in here. When Lone Star Steel went down, everybody left. Sad, very sad.
Well, I was, if I may, was raised in Jenkins. You and I went to school together all the way through. And I left for 50 years and came back and saw what happened. But the thing that I'm seeing as an outsider who was born and raised here and still part of this community, going back to the memories that we had in our generation were wonderful. I learned to swim in Lone Star Lake. I learned to water ski, and I saw people baptized in Lone Star Lake. But the thing is, those memories are just that. And we need to take those, and instead of making them that and being mad because we can't make the future the same, we need to take those and take the good parts of that and make that our heritage, and that's what we need to build on. We are steel country. We were those great people who built businesses. Our memory is already made. The people who are living here now and would want to build businesses here now their memories are going to be 25 years past our graves. We're building their memories now. Our obligation is not to restore what we had. It's to build what we have for the future so the other people coming along won't see a dump on the Alamo side of town. That won't see the fighting that goes on in the stupid city council from time to time. That won't see that. They need to see an opportunity to grow with our community as we pass that baton. Our memories won't go to them. Their memories are being created right now. We're the ones who are creating those memories.
You know, we had a doctor here in town. We had pharmacy, and it was a thriving community. It just disappeared.
How big was this hospital?
Up here on top of the hill, I don't know how many beds it had, but
I have not been taken out there.
I was born there.
You were going there?
$200.
So, anyway, our goal, I think collectively, you guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think collectively we talked about this. Our goal is not to be a Mount Pleasant or an Atlanta. We don't want that. We're not set up for that. Our structure, we're not handle that. We're a small town community. We want to stay a small town community. Now, we need things for our people to do. We want to bring business in here. We're not ever going to attract a Walmart or a Sam's, and I don't think we want that. But we want businesses that will enable our residents to be able to have a good life, to be able to do things for kids, things for adults, ways to participate, community activities, and at the same time, bring in the business we need to help us sustain the city. Because, as Mitch said, when things started to leave, there went your tax dollars. Okay? One of the things that this town has an issue with right now is we try to survive on property tax. And property tax is a static value. You know, I live here too. I don't want taxes going up all the time, but it's a fact of life. You don't have to increase taxes to have a tax increase. Okay? If the property values goes up, they're going to raise your it's going to raise your taxes. So there's not a whole lot you can do about that other than when you turn 65, you get some kind of break on it. Other than that, you're going to pay those taxes. But a city cannot be sustained on that by itself. It's impossible. And especially now with the legislature and the state going in and trying to cut property tax the taxes that you get off property, that gives the city less and less money to operate on. So, what do? You have to generate that money somewhere else. Well, that's what business is for. I'll give you another example, the water bills. I had to raise water bills this time. What we're hoping is we bring enough business in here so there's enough sales tax that goes into the city coffer, so the next time that comes up, they can say, well, you know what? We got enough here, we can offset that a little bit and we don't have to do that. That's the kind of things we're after. Okay? The only way to do that is bring more business in this town, okay? Mom and pop shops, places, a few more restaurants. I mean, I hear all the time people say, it would be nice to be able to have a restaurant here that would be open on a Sunday after church, so our family could eat here and not have to go to Dangerfield, Mount Pleasant, wherever to get something to eat. And we want a variety. We don't want the same thing over and over again we're offering now. So that's the kind of things we're trying to work on. Over the past year and a half, we've brought in businesses we've helped. Big Ben's is down here. You know, they did, I looked at their stuff, they did in excess of $250,000 in business last year. That does nothing but help the city. Huckleberries, they're expanding as we speak. They have stopped doing so much vehicle wraps. Now they started a process to where they're going to be manufacturing these vendor stands that go to carnivals and parades. They just signed a huge contract on there. I visited with them about it the other day. How much it was for, don't care. As long as it's here, that's what I care about. Because that's bringing money into our town. The Phillips 66 opened up. Okay? Whether you believe it or not, it's one of the top 10 destinations for people when they leave the park. Makes sense. I'll get something to drink, need gas. Makes sense, you know. We just had Martinez Tire move in where Trent's place was. Very nice man. Hope to do a lot of business with him also. So those places are coming in and good things are happening, and they're excited about what we're doing, and they're all on board with what we're doing. And if you need it, I can give you letters of recommendation from them about the EDC that they sent to me, and it's scathing. I mean, it's just great. But my deal is, and we'll get to the park in a minute, but my deal is all the time, like yesterday I met with somebody on something, and they said, you've done it. I said, get that word out of your mouth. What they said, you. I don't do it. Don't give me credit for it. Give it to these folks. They're the ones that are behind it. I don't even have a vote on this deal, guys. You know, they're the ones that do it. Give them the credit. The credit for me is going down to the park and seeing 50 vehicles down there and 75 kids being down there that haven't been down there in 20 years. That's the payoff for me. Okay? And it's going to continue to happen. All right? People are excited about that kind of stuff.
I was by there last night, and the parking lot was full
I
of
know,
cars.
it's crazy. I mean, I went down there the other day, and it just, you know, just walking around talking to people, it just does my heart good to hear what they have to say. So, but I'm going to tell you what, it stems way back, okay? And I'm going to say this. Leslie was on the EDC. We tried when you were on the EDC to get started with the park, with the ballpark. We had two gentlemen, correct me if I'm wrong, let's see, Derek Crowley was one of them, and there was another gentleman. And they really wanted things to happen, but we couldn't get it happening in the time frame that they wanted it to. Okay? Believe me, it's
used
happening.
to, at night when they were playing ball down there, the lights from those two fields, you could see it all over town. And you had a hard time finding a parking spot down there. People were everywhere. Let me just say this. When I was growing up here, 3 events everybody was proud of. Crump Shopping Center opened up. Crump's was down here in a little building next to Bill White's pharmacy. We opened up a new bank. When they had the grand opening, they had to stop the traffic down here. And we got, guess what? We got a new post office. And people were just ecstatic about it. We had a new post office. And that's hard to maybe for you to understand. But when there's people standing out in the parking lot of a new post office and everybody's saying, look, that belongs to Lone Star, Texas.
We're on the map.
We're not the only Lone Star, Texas. Look at it on the map. There's another one down in the valley. But back then, getting a new shopping center and a new bank on owned by a local man, Billy Gibson, and the people he put to work means something. It means something.
As I was saying before, I got off track a while ago, and I apologize for that, but we're a type B EDC, okay? A type A deals more with your corporate, your big companies, your corporations, things like that. We have more flexibility than what they have in projects that we can do. But at the same time, we're under more scrutiny, and by that I mean, whatever we propose has to be passed by the city council. You know, we just can't go out there and create something that has to be passed by the city council. I will say this, to this point, they have been supportive, and I hope they'll continue to be supportive, because I think the more things we have happening, the more we're gonna see happening. One of the things I put on one of these slides, and the bottom of it is, we value every business here. You know, what we are trying to do is develop a concerted effort to send people to businesses once or twice a week and say, what do you need? What can we do to help you? Is there anything, I mean, I'll guarantee you can walk into Zester's coffee shop down here. That's another one out there on the mention. They're doing really good, okay? Fernando Luca and his wife opened that shop up. They're totally in support of the EDC. They want to see more business come in because they know more business means more people, means their business is going to do better. So it's all tied together. One of the things we have going on right now, and we're trying to get some of our businesses to take more advantage of, and I think it's starting to work. They just, you know, it's hard for people. We're coming out of the COVID era, so to speak, still. I think we're at the tail end of the recovery. We're starting to really get going again. One of the things we're offering is we offer the VIP program to these businesses. It's offered throughout the state. A lot of EDCs do it, and what it does is it helps with facade grants, parking lots, whatever things. We have had an exuberant amount of money before, so we limited it to a maximum of $20,000 in a year, and each business could apply for a grant, and we'll pay 50% of that up to a maximum of payment of $2,000 for 18 months. Now, they don't just get it. There's things they have to do, submit paperwork, estimates, all that stuff has to be done. They have to meet with the board. All that stuff has to be done. So it's not just like, oh, well, here's $2,000, go spend it, okay? So we have that, and we're starting to get some more feedback on that, and we put that out there on our Facebook page, and I think people are really starting to look at it, because I've had quite a few questions in the last couple of days, 3 days, about that. I will tell you that this is data that I got from the EDC itself, the Texas EDC. At the end of 2021, we were one of over 521 cities in the state that had a Type B EDC. Okay? In that same time period, there were 725 total, and of that, 224 of those were Type A. Now they're estimating they're up close to 800. They don't have the exact data nailed down, but when I talked to EDC on the phone yesterday, Amy told me that she thought there was going to be close to 800 EDCs in the state of Texas. One of the things I will tell you is I went to the conference in Houston in October, and my goal down there was to meet as many people as I could and get as much information and try to get as much help from us as I could. I went out and had a couple shirts made up with Lone Star. I thought, let's just see what happens. So when I went down there and met with the EDC, she said, I need to introduce you to some people. So we went around, and they're all looking at my shirt, and I said, Lone Star, Texas. We didn't even know there was a place like that. I said, so I got to talking to them, and I told the city council when I came back, out of about 350 people were at that conference. And I'll guarantee you, when I went down there was probably maybe 4 that knew we even existed. When I left, there was 350. And I'll guarantee you, we had people coming up to me at the end of the conference saying, you know what? I understand the predicament you're in, we're gonna try to help you. So the networking and the valuable resources has helped. Since that point in time, I was contacted by the EDC because I applied to be in their mentorship program because I thought, what better way than get assigned somebody who's done this for a while to help us? Fortunately, Marshall, Texas was assigned as my mentor. Well, the gentleman who runs the Marshall EDC, his grandparents are from Hughes Springs, Texas. And his grandfather and my grandfather were really good friends. And we didn't know that until we got to talking about it. So they're really wanting to help us. We're planning on in the next couple of months trying to facilitate what we're going to call an economic one-on-one summit, where our people will go to Marshall one day and meet with their folks and learn everything that they can show us there. And then we want them to come over here and sit down with us, look at our community, give us an idea of where we're going so we can put our heads together and maybe we can start making more stuff happen than what's happening right now. So that's another good thing. If you got one of those handouts that I've had Allie pass out, everybody should have one. If you don't, let us know, we'll get you one. You will see on page 5 of that, down at the bottom, a revenue chart. That shows you the revenue that the EDC has taken in over the last year from 2015, and I've still got to do some research on 2014 because that's kind of shady information I can't. But anyway, it shows you what we have taken in. Now that's 1/3 of the sales tax money that the city of Lone Star gets every month. Okay? What I want to draw your attention to is the year 2023. We had those 5 businesses over there. From 2022 to 2023, in 2022, the city's, our portion of the sales tax money was $74,603.45. In 2023, $88,852.52. That is a 19.1% increase in the amount of sales tax for this town in 1 year. Now, you say, well, that money came to the EDC. Okay, you take that money, take that 88,000 and you double it. That's what the city put in sales tax money for the city, about $170,000. That's money the city did not have. That extra $14,000 equates to what? $28,000 extra that they had this year that they didn't have last year because we're out working our tails off to get those businesses to come in here. I anticipate this could be up to $100,000 our part by the end of this year if things go well. No guarantees, but that's what we're shooting for. Which means if our part is that, the city's going to put in what? Another $150,000, $200,000 in their budget. You know, people talk about roads getting fixed, people talking about things like that. That's the way you do it, is you bring money in. How do you bring money in? You bring business in. Business brings sales tax. That goes in the city budget. We continue to do our job. That's what happens. Okay? We have nothing to hide. We want everybody to know what we're doing, and we want them to know we're coming to do it. Okay? I had a meeting, about a 2.5-hour meeting with Doug Reeder.
County judge.
You what?
The county judge.
Yes. And I told him in our meeting, I said, Doug, I'm going to say something, and it's probably going to make you mad, and if it does, I can't help it. But I said, I'm tired of Lone Star, Texas, having the reputation of being the rear end of the county. Because every time something is said, oh, well, Dangerfield this, Dangerfield that, this, no. Guess what? We deserve as much respect as they do. Our citizens pay taxes to the school district. Our kids go to that school district. The buses for that school district don't just say Dangerfield. They say Dangerfield Lone Star. The sign at that school says Dangerfield Lone Star. Our kids need recognition. Just because they live here doesn't mean Dangerfield everything. And he said, well, you're right. And I said, my expectation is when you start promoting stuff, you'll promote Lone Star. We need that. I also met with Morris County Collaborative. Beverly Austin and I have a meeting set up sometime in the next week or two when she frees her schedule up. Told them the same thing. You know, you have to help us. Our citizens deserve as much respect and recognition as anybody else in this county. So that's where we're headed.
I don't know if the general population of Lone Star realizes we missed a very big industry, New Hope Energy. I took the original phone call from New Hope Energy, and they were gonna take plastic, and they were trying to make a deal with U.S. Steel to utilize the land out here at old 10-inch warehouse. Randy worked hard on it. I worked hard on it. We went down, we visited with them. How many people were they gonna put together? Put to work?
125.
Huh?
125 originally, maybe up to 300 later on.
And, too many people got involved in it. Number one, U.S. Steel started playing hardball on the land. They were gonna take 5,000 rail cars inbound here and dump the plastic here and make fuel out of it. That's what they were gonna do. They were gonna take 5,000 rail cars inbound here every month. And we missed it. We just flat missed it. Too many people, in my opinion, got involved in it. We had a gentleman come in here, Bob Harkins, was gonna buy the Crump Shopping Center. He was gonna put a big convenience store, upscale convenience store, a new washateria, what else? There was something else big.
Fried chicken restaurant.
A restaurant. Too many people got involved in it, tried to start selling them land here, land there. What'd he do? He went back to Dallas and didn't do it. That's a fact. And what else? We missed another one. What was it? Through my dealings with my trucking company out here, we were hauling a lot of plastic PVC pipe for a customer out of Oklahoma, bringing it back to Dallas, a lot of it. We were using it as backhauls back to Lone Star to reload and to Houston to reload. And I went up there to visit with him, and he asked me to come down to his office, and he said, I need a new plant in Texas. I need a new plant in Texas. And I said, I know where you can put one. And I got him to schedule a trip down here. Well, unbeknownst to me, he sent one of his people, and he gave Lone Star, Texas a look. You know why he decided not to do it? We don't have any housing. He was concerned about the people that work for him and have nice, clean housing. And the negative report is we did not have any housing. We had this dump up here. And we lost it. New Hope Energy went down near Port Arthur. And we've had some opportunities to get some industry in here. And we've missed it.
That's a really good segue into the next topics as
Yes.
far as the quality issues. So, last week, Rudy, myself, and Randy attended a conference in Marshall that was specific for economic development. This is the flyer. You can look at it if you'd like, I'll share it. So in attendance for their lineup for their speakers, their keynote that started was Dr. Ray Perryman, PhD. I'll give you a brief on Dr. Perryman. Dr. Perryman is out of Waco, Texas. He is the CEO and president of Economic Research and Analysis of the Perryman Group. He has a lot of history in Texas. When he spoke to direct programs that he helped found, tweak, improve, and use in future developments of economic plans to help the state of Texas. It's very interesting to listen to what he said. Some of his key points, Rudy highlighted in the handout that you have. I have it taped, what he said. I taped the entire conference. The keynotes from his speech, I ran over it again today to take notes. And he spoke from an employer's point of view. An employer looks for certain things, and quality of life is a focus for their employees. Just like you said with that previous business, when they look at housing. They don't just look at housing. The top questions that they ask, as cited by Dr. Perryman during that speech, were, what is your crime rate? That was the first question. So not having a police force is a detriment. It is never a positive, because the first question a company wants to know is how safe are their items that the company owns, the production, the land, and the employees coming where they're gonna live. Their safety is paramount. What is your educational system? Are you able to educate or upscale your education to employees that are no longer part of the workforce because we've left them behind? We have not kept up pace with educating employees to keep pace with growing technologies, increased reading levels, such as a now standard 8th grade reading level, which most of East Texas is subpar. They're not even up to an 8th grade reading level. So that doesn't make you employable. The employers are looking for at least an 8th grade reading level. That's the workforce. What does it look like? So that's how they're looking at your workforce. What's going on with your government? It looks destabilized. Very much so. All they have to do is pull up your Rumble videos of the city council to see the disorganization and the destabilized government that we have locally. Why would I put my money there? That's the final question that they ask. Why should I bring my company here? What are the benefits? Employees and employers also look at the quality of life items. The bottom line used to be money. It still is, even more so really today when you look at the big picture. I went to grocery shopping for the first time for basics like mayonnaise, ketchup, and mustard and spent over $300. Groceries are very expensive. Now employers are looking, they want to make sure that their employees have things to utilize like their parks, health facilities, housing, the amenities like walking parks, nature, dog parks. Where can I take my animals? People don't necessarily have children, but a lot of them have animals. Where do I take those during the day to get the animals some stress relief from being locked up while I was at work? Is it a safe place to go? Is there lighting? Is there a safe place for me to park and not have my car broken into? Employers want to make sure that their employees will live in the area in which they have a business for the next 10, 15, and 20 years. They're looking out, they're planning, they're developing their economic plans for their business, and that's part of their business model, is not only looking for employees, how do we make sure that our employees are healthy, their mental health is healthy, they have access to facilities, and they have care. So those are huge items that they're looking for. Those were key points that Dr. Perryman talked about, along with economic plans and future development as far as things that are available in East Texas. Unlike Marshall, who is in a different county than we are, we don't have the college, the technical college, that they have such a great relationship with to access for their folks that live in the community. They have a great technical college over there. The chancellor was the second speaker. So Mr. Perryman had a lot to say about where we live and what amenities we have in our area.
Let me say one more thing. This gentleman that I referenced that had this PVC plant, I didn't know that he sent one of his employees to Lone Star, Texas, and actually sat through one of our city council meetings. He he was not critical. What he was critical about was where we have our meeting. If this body goes after a company and we want to try to get them to put in a facility here, you have to sell it. You have to sell them on what we've got. And sitting in a room with fold-out chairs, and Randy's heard this over and over because it's one of my pet peeves. If you're sitting in a room with fold-out chairs, fold-out tables, and it looks like a bomb went off in it, and you can hear the water dripping in the fire department, you are not going to get looked at. And I worked up a deal, again, Randy, as mayor, knows this. I worked up a deal with Billy Gibson at the bank down here, and he renovated the north end of the bank. And he offered the city of Lone Star that facility on a monthly basis, $500 a month. $500 a month that we could have brought somebody in a three-piece suit and sit down in a nice facility and talk about him building a plant here. And the city council of Lone Star, Texas voted that $500 expenditure down. $500. And we could have brought somebody in a three-piece suit in there to sit down and talk to them. And again, you've got to sell it. And I will, just like in my trucking business, I had to go to Houston, Oklahoma City, places like that, and sell my trucking company. And they don't come if you don't sell it to them.
Randy, did you have anything to add on that meeting we went to over there in Marshall Summit?
It was extremely impressive. The people they had, their speakers were you got a sense of the effectiveness of an economic development board and what they could do. And I also noticed something there, the support there was also countywide. It
Yes.
just wasn't the city of Marshall.
Right. That's what we're shooting for.
Yeah.
I'll give you one more example, excuse me just a minute. Does everybody know where Cox Logistics is located here? Out here on Highway 250? Do you know why I built that building? And I invite you, if you have never been inside that building, please come see it. It's a two-story building. It's got a nice big conference room. And you know, there's a reason why I built that building. My son thought I was crazy, but I built that building because of what it looks like. And it makes a statement to customers that Cox Logistics keeps the business from. It's not one of the probably the nicest building in this area. And we started in a trailer house. But when I bring people out there to talk about business, we carry them upstairs to the conference room, and it's impressive. And I go back to what I just got through saying. You've got to sell it to these people.
Best tasting
I'll be
candy
quiet.
bar in the world won't sell if it doesn't have a good wrapper around it.
That's exactly right.
A couple of the things, we talk about companies that we're talking to, different things like this, and what we're trying to do. I met with a realtor called me back in October. And he was from Pennsylvania. I don't know how many of you know where Trans Northern Railways is. It's out, the big building as you're going out, when you pass Liam Womack's dentist's place and go across the bridge On the left-hand side, there's a huge white warehouse out there, 2 or 3 of them, the rail that runs out there. That's Trans-Northern Railroad. They are trying to lease that property. I went out there and met with them and drove around for 4.5 hours back in there. All the rail lines, it's very impressive. I put out there on our Facebook page that we're trying to help them get somebody in there because it's gonna help Lone Star, Texas, and I got chastised for that. But the advertisement they put up says available for lease, Lone Star, Texas. Now, I'm gonna tell you, we are land bound. Okay? The steel mill, this town was created for the steel mill. So the steel mill owns, still does, quite a bit of property in this town. What's not owned by the steel mill is owned by private individuals. And it's been very hard to get anybody to talk to us, because when I go talk to a business about moving here, the first thing they want to know is what kind of sites do you have? What kind of real estate do you have? Where can we move? We haven't had that. Recently, we got some folks who, believe it or not, we didn't search them out. One of them came to us. The other one, I had realtors go out and actively seek those individuals out to see if they would be interested in talking to us about property. We've had the lots up here right on the other side of Arnold's. There's a little bitty lot, used to be a tax place. I don't know if y'all even know it used to be.
It was
It's
Hugh
gone.
Jackson.
Sir?
It was a Hugh Jackson for a long time.
Yes. So there's 1.14 acres there. Well, that 1.4 acres does us no good, okay, by itself. But the 1 acre next to it, the guy who owned it said, I'm willing to talk to you about it. So, like I say, I've never talked to any of these individuals. I've done it, the realtor's done it, I haven't done it. We got negotiated down where we could get that property. So as of April the 18th, we are in the process of buying those lots right there. There's another one where they approached us, but it may, and we'll find out when they run the title search, that there is a lien on it. If it is, we don't have to touch it. Okay, it's written in our contract. We don't have to mess with it. We're not going to if they do. So that's the beginning of us, especially the ones on this side, are the beginning of us having a footprint that we can offer businesses that are looking for a place to go. Okay? And we are actively trying to do that and talk to people and see if there are some other things, because the world, I don't care what we do, you drive down 259 and you see a bunch of vacant areas and stuff like that where there's no activity, businesses are very skeptical of that. Okay? Another thing people need to realize is whatever we try to bring in here, there's a good possibility it's not going to be right in the city limits because we're land bound. Just like this place. Okay, it's right outside the city limits. So we won't get a property tax off of that. You know? But we will get residual income from that. If they hire people, they will be looking for places to shop. They will be looking for, that's what we're after, is the residual income. They may be willing to buy a house and fix it up. You know, we've had some investors come in, and what they've done is they've purchased property over here, and I've walked through 1 or 2 of them, and they are really nice little houses. So it's starting to turn. It's just, we didn't get in this shape overnight, and we're not getting out overnight. It ain't gonna happen. You know? I hear people come all the time, and they say, well, so-and-so says you're wasting money. No, we're not. You know, I can give you an accounting of every nickel we've spent since 2015. You know, we spent almost $80,000 on that school property. Don't ask me why, but that city back then wanted to buy it. It was a hot item. They didn't have the money, so the EDC fronted some of the money for it. You know, I can go right back through this book and show you every transaction that was made. There was $80,000 there. You know, another thing they did was in 2000 and late 14 or early 15, the city didn't have the money, so the EDC went and the city said, buy that sign up there. That sign is the biggest thorn in our side for this city there's ever been. We've tried to fix it with limited income, and it's still not fixed right. And it will never be fixed right. It might be fixed right for a week or two, but it's gonna have problems just like it's had, because I told them before, the parts are antiquated, you can hardly find them, and when you do, you fix that, it's like putting your finger in a dike, something else is going wrong. So at what point in time do we quit throwing money into it? Well, we're not anymore. We're not. I promise you. We spent $2,500 trying to get it working in the first place. That's all we spent. We're not spending another nickel on it. I don't care if it becomes a boat anchor and it sits up there forever. Because we're not doing it. We're just not going to do it. The building you're sitting in, you know? A lot of people, Leslie was on the board when we did that. They voted to get this building fixed up, and we get killed over that all the time. Why did you do that? You didn't need to do that. I have two people here that come in here every day to eat lunch and sit here and visit and talk. Is it worth it to y'all to have this building fixed? Be honest. I want to know your true answer. Is it worth us getting this building? Was it worth us fixing it up for y'all?
Yep.
Yeah.
I come here every day.
Yeah. So, you know, the thing, and I didn't do that.
I can
The board
honestly
did
say,
that.
these people enjoy coming in here, and it's a lot more than 2 people.
Yeah.
Today, they had 20 people out there, or 20 or 23 people.
It gives them a place to go and fellowship. And I hear people say, oh, you don't need to do Meals on Wheels on here. Why not? It's a government program. We don't want a government program. I don't get it. Somebody shows up hungry, you need to send them to a church. Where did that methodology of thinking come? I have no idea. But ask these people that come in here every day to eat and see what happens. That was $30,000 we spent. Very well spent. You know, gives us the ability to have a meeting. We're paying for it. I don't care. You know, it's not coming out of the EDC fund. I'm paying for this meeting tonight. Okay? But it's here. We're using it. It's benefiting this town. Okay? So we spent that. The park. You know, I've had people come to me for years and years and years. Unless you were on there, you know. We need to get something done down there. There's nothing for the kids to do here. There's nothing there. So guess what we did? We brought an engineer in. We went down there. We looked around. We said, what do we need to do? First thing you need to do is fix the drainage. Because it was coming up under the playground. There's a spring underneath there. And the water was coming up underneath. You need to fix it. Okay? Had 3 bids. Cost us $70,000. We didn't want to spend that money. But they had to come in and run all new drainage lines. Because whoever had put them in before didn't even connect them up. So what were they doing? They were running down there and hitting the main line, and the water was just coming up separately. We had to spend that money to get it done. It's well worth it. You see kids down there on that playground equipment. I have people stop me every day when I go down there and see people. I'll stop and say, is there anything we can do? Do you like things? This is the best thing you've done. This is the ball field and everything else. Keep doing what you're doing. Okay? The swimming area. Okay, we had to get that fixed. We had volunteers. Carrie's husband, some other people went down there. They bought the wood. We didn't even have to buy the wood. They put it on there for us. Fixed it right up. You know, Josie drew up the plans for the ladders that are in the swimming area. You know, A&E built the ladders. It didn't cost us a nickel to have those ladders built. We had to pay to bring a long arm backhoe in to clean it out, to dredge it out. Cost us $3,500 to do that because of the mileage. But it was well worth the money. People down there using it, fishing off of it, and all. It was well worth the money to get that done. People tell us that all the time. You know, back in the day, before I was on the EDC, they got the boat ramp fixed down there. Go down there on a Friday night, you see 50 to 60 boats down there launching out during the summer for tournaments and stuff like that. They didn't have that before that was fixed. Couldn't even back a boat in there without tearing up a boat or a trailer. They use it all the time. You know, the same thing is starting to happen with the ballpark. They're starting to use it all the time. The worst thing that's happened to us up there, and I'm still hot over it, and I've talked to 2 or 3 different attorneys trying to get it overturned, and that's that stupid basketball court. We had a written contract with a company. We paid them $10,000 up front for materials, and they, excuse my French, but they screwed us over that. And our city attorney did not help us one bit. So as far as I'm concerned, the EDC will not be using our city attorney anymore if I can help it. I have the attorney for the Texas EDC who's been more than willing to help us so far and not cost us anything. So, we don't waste your money. You know, the money that we spend is for good things to happen in this town. And I get sick of hearing, you're wasting our money. Well, let me tell you something. We didn't have these businesses here. People weren't spending money. You wouldn't have tax income coming in here. So that 19% that you saw, that increase, guess what? If you don't have these businesses here, it probably goes down to a negative because you don't have that money coming in every year. Okay? I'm not touting our horn. I'm just telling you it's a fact. So what we need is, we need input from the community on what do you want to see? What kind of businesses are you wanting in this town? Because I promise you, these folks right here will go for it. They will go out and try to make it happen for you.
I realize it's not on the top of the priority list, but we need things in this town that children will enjoy, like say
Yes.
a roller rink. Kids love the roller rink.
Yep.
I would love to see something like that come here, the kids would really, really
Yep.
enjoy it.
Yep.
But
Used to be
it's
one.
not top
There used-
priority.
There used to be one right down here on the other side of, what's down there? Arnold?
Key Spring.
Is that right?
Yeah.
But, I mean, you know, so that's, my challenge to the community is, you need to let us know what you want to see here.
You know, what kind of essential services, I mean, we mentioned the laundromat earlier, and we have we have a market. Do we need an alternative market? What are the kind of essential services would say, I can move to Lone Star because I can get these services? What does that need? A laundromat has been mentioned a lot.
Mhm.
What are some of the others?
There's no dog groomer here. You have to take your dog, Rocky Brent, or City, wherever. There's no dog groomer here. That would be
See,
nice
that
to
was
have.
one, that was one of, when I first got on the EDC, the city wound up and got the elementary school back, okay? And at that time, the school it wasn't in the greatest of shape, but we wanted to take some of those classrooms and fix them up so business people could rent them, lease them. And one of the things that was suggested was a dog run. And this city dropped the ball on that elementary school. When we got it back, it wasn't in that bad shape. Cody was gonna use it for a, what do you call it? Charter school. And I thought it was a great idea. I told him so. I said, I think it's a good idea to try to get a charter school up here. But the rules that apply to getting a charter school are not that easy, are they, Cody? And, but this city dropped the ball on that elementary school up there. It's bad.
One of the things we have right now, and this is, I need community input on this too. We have an opportunity, it's, right now, we're in a 30,000 foot level. I've only had 3 conversations. One of those conversations involved a company at COG, the small business development we have right here in this building. There, as we know, there is some asbestos in that old school. There's some black mold up there. It's in a condition now to where, in my opinion, and I don't know if you've been up there lately, Cody, I don't know, but the thing about it is that, in my opinion, it needs to be, everything needs to be just torn down to the concrete and start over again. I mean, and by that I mean the block, not the building itself. There's 2 or 3 portables back there. We just need to have, my opinion is, if there's nothing in them, we need to have the fire department go up there, drag them out in that field back there behind it, have a control burn and burn them to the ground. They're not any good.
I'm not quite sure that you can drag them out there that bad.
Well, you know what I'm saying. Figure out a way to get all that. But anyway, We have a company who, and I've talked to 2 companies, who say that with ACCOG's help, there is a good possibility we can get them to come in here and clean that school up and it not cost us a penny. We do it through federal grants, which means there is no match. We don't have to worry about it. As I said, I'm at the 30,000-foot level. Once I've talked to them a little bit more, I want to get citizens' input, because everybody has a vision. And I'll just tell you what I was thinking. It's go by the wayside, whatever. I thought if we clean that school up, it could serve several purposes. Number one thing we need here, in my opinion, we need manufacturing back. Because that's what we do here in this area, manufacturing, welding, things like that. There's nowhere around here that a welder can get training and get certified. There's not. I promise you, I've talked to too many places. The company said, it'd be great to have something here. What I would like to do is talk to the colleges and find out if we get that cleaned up, could we turn part of that into a miniature technical school? Now, another thing I thought about is if we do that, why can't we turn one of those wings into a business incubator? I don't know how much you know about a business incubator, but what happens is, if Allie or Leslie has you're a beautician and they're wanting to start a business, they go to the business incubator and they say, you know what, we've got a place that'll fit you, we'll fix it up for you, you can move into it, you don't pay us any rent, and what we do is for a year, we teach you about the business end of it, what it takes to get it done, what you need to do to sustain it. And at the end of that year, then we go back to you and you have an option. You can either stay there and start paying rent, or you can move out and we'll get somebody else to come in and take your place. Now, the beautician is just a small thing. There are several different things that work. Other cities do that. I don't know why we can't. And at the same time, if you had a technical school up there, or if you had something to go with that, you can actually develop some multi-unit housing up there for either the people that go to school there, or just to have it in general. A lot of the developments now that you see in some of these towns, what they do is they come in and let's just take a 30,000-foot level. Let's say we took this 1 acre of land and we wanted to build a little miniature shopping center to put stuff in. A lot of places now, what they're doing is on the bottom floor, they're putting in their shops. The top floor, guess what they're doing? They're putting residences. So the business owners live upstairs.
Well, I can speak directly to that. Westminster Mall, you can look it up on the interweb at Colorado. It's in Westminster, Colorado. And that was a mall that I grew up going to. When you went to the mall in the 80s, that's one of the ones that you went to was Westie. Westie now only has the original JCPenney's. Everything else about Westie is gone, absolutely gone. They have 4 or 5 story living above that very scenario. It is. There are solarium shops. That's all the bottom floor is. Are beautiful faced. Some are high end. They're not Cherry Creek, but they're high end. They have nail salons. They have fragrance shops. There are all sorts of businesses on that bottom level that face outward to the main streets. And 4 or 5 stories above it, nothing but living. So it's not just the business owners there. That is the living area for those people that have chosen to live in Westminster now. Now it's an additional space. It's a footprint for them to have a place to live that's very nice and secure. It's very secure because you have alarms all across the bottom of the floor of the building in which you're living in. All those businesses have alarms. So you have the added, and it's got a courtyard built interiorly. So it's a protected green space, dog area, where they can go out and not have to worry about the community outside that may present some sort of a danger to them. So it's a multi-use area that they have constructed where a 1-story mall lived in the 80s. It was a big footprint. That's a big piece of land that they did that on. You know, and when you talk to about places and bringing businesses in and whatnot, one of the things that Felicia, who was one of the speakers at the conference that we went to in Marshall, she is the CEO, that is her title. She's, no, COO, right? Chief Operating Officer,
Yeah.
I believe, right?
COO.
COO of Tyler. Tyler's, EDC. They contract with Tyler. They don't, you know, they don't just do business with them because they're a bigger city, they're a Type A, so they're a contractor to the city. They just purchased 415 acres for a business park, for one business that said, we'll come, but we need a place to land and we need infrastructure around us. She said, okay, they went to the city, they went to the county, they went to the state. They accessed grants, they had a grant writer, they did all of the things necessary to bring the business aspect there. Yes?
I would like to say, I agree with Mr. Cox on something. You're talking about the school, nothing's gonna happen to that. Who wants to build anything over here in this dump as he
Oh, it's
talked
gotta
about?
stop, yeah, we gotta start
But I
something.
will let you know, I live in this dump.
I agree.
My parents lived there before me. I own their house now. But I'm not on welfare, I don't get government assistance. But, who wants to, you can't even drive down the road without the pit, without the.
And
the
that's
pothole.
a-
Nobody's gonna build up there.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is, I agree with Mr. Cox, it's a dump. And unfortunately, everybody that lives over here on this side of town, where I live at, I live on Houston, my parents lived there long before I come about, they're lower income. There's bad people and good people everywhere. But you can't drive down the road without 50 dogs attacking your car. There's potholes everywhere. And so what is the economic development group plan, and you're running for city council
Yes, sir.
to help build up this side?
Yeah.
Because it's not just like you said, they can't go out and get a $250,000 job.
That's right.
I'm not, you know, that's nice over there living on the lake, that's great. But, you know, they gotta have a little motivation to get off their butts. I know you can clean your yard up, and you know, you was talking about what's that word, asbestos? 90% of these houses.
How many of you have actually driven up into Edgemont lately?
Oh, I was there today.
Okay. Here's what I've been told happens.
I'm sorry, I'm hard hearing, that's why I'm doing
You
that.
get a landlord that goes
Oh,
up there
yeah. Most of them homes are owned by
rent
one or
and
two
leases
landlords.
his house, and then he subleases to about 4 or 5 other people,
Right.
and they throw a mattress down on the floor, and that's where they sleep. Now, I'm not criticizing that.
Oh, no, I agree with you, it's a dump over there.
If we had a structure fire up in Edgemont, you can't get down the roads because the people are parking on the sidewalk in the middle of the street.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Rudy and I have gone nose to nose with the city council about enforcing the ordinances up there and get those cars out of there.
Right.
It really is not an economic development thing, it is a city.
Oh, yeah, I know, I was just saying, I was
No,
just.
absolutely.
But
Who
it
wants
is
to
an,
go build
it is,
something up
it
there?
is an economic development problem, because if I go get this guy in a 3-piece suit,
Yeah, like
and he
you were
wants to
talking about, I
ride up
agree with you.
there, he's not coming here,
No.
I'm telling you,
No.
wasting their time.
And
Right, and that's why I was saying, I'm agreeing with you, Mr. Cox, but not everybody over there is local.
We understand that.
Yeah,
But the first thing that needs to happen is we need to clean up that area.
oh, yeah,
And people parked on half of the sidewalk and
Right.
half in the street.
yeah, because you're right, because it's so bad driving over there, yeah, and there's dogs everywhere, the trash, they get in the trash, so it, like you said.
I own a piece of property up here on Crockett Street.
All right, yeah,
And-
that's past me.
My neighbor turned it into a dog kennel and was parking 5 cars in the yard.
Dang.
He ruined it.
Right,
And it's not against city ordinance to do that.
well, they're for, the city, code is enforced not by the books, it's code, this individual or that individual, and then they go 4 houses down. I'm not griping about city council, nobody, the police department, it is what it is. Like you said it perfectly, I love what you said, Mr. Allen. The past is the past, the future, you gotta build on the future, not what's, Lone Star's never gonna look like the pictures I've seen of what y'all know my girl Larson?
Yeah, I know
All
we did.
right, he said, you know, he's from this area. He sent me all these pictures of what this area used to look like in the 70s and 80s. It was beautiful. But like you said, the city, when they seen Lone Star Steel was going out of business, or leaving, they didn't have a plan. And this is the result.
You know, one thing that the city needs, we're trying to get the Chamber of Commerce back up and running.
Right,
We need people to help us get the Chamber of Commerce back.
right.
I
I just wanted y'all to know, I
Thank you.
live over there, and I rap all the time. If you know who I am, you'll know that I stand up and I'll say what I got to say. You can like me or not. But they're just lower class income people, not lower class people, not what I'm saying. They just ain't got $200,000 jobs, or they ain't got the skills to go and get a $30 job out.
So.
And those could be the kind of businesses that we need to look for, that's gonna help create something that help them
Right.
get out of that.
Yes.
Is it gonna be a big trade school that does welding? Maybe.
Right.
Some of those people have those skills. Could it be some other things? Huckleberry's is hiring people. He has 18 employees now.
Right.
And
You know
he'll be
what the
hiring
ma-
more.
you know what the
And
most
that's giving those
popular-
guys a chance to learn a skill. So those are the kind of businesses to
Right.
bring to Lone Star. The services, yes, we need those. But those things that's gonna bring people out of that side of town
Right.
and make that side of town lift up. But it's only gonna be done by attitude.
Attitude, yeah.
We can throw all the money at it in the world and you won't stop anybody from coming across the border.
Right, and
But
then,
you
like
have
you
to go
said,
and change
40
the
houses
attitude
owned
and
by one
education of
person.
it.
You know what the most popular class at Dangerfield High School was when I was in high school?
No, sir.
Auto mechanics.
Oh,
And you could not get in the class because there were so many kids in it. Auto mechanics.
right.
In the band.
No,
Yeah.
that thing.
I'm just briefly gonna touch base on this, but I think everybody needs to understand this too. We hear all the time, and I believe me, over where I live, it's not any better.
Right,
All the time we hear about the streets.
right.
Number one issue.
Number one issue in this town is the streets. Streets didn't get in this shape overnight, folks. Now, I'm gonna tell you, these streets were put in when this city was built, late 1940s, early 50s. There's been nothing done to the infrastructure since then. Now, nothing against past councils, nothing against the people that administered this city. When times are good, you don't think about, well, we need to put money back contingency-wise, because at some point in time, guess what? We're gonna have to fix this stuff, because everything is going good.
Right.
So, $6,000 a year is a good thing. You don't need that much to fix roads, because it's good. Well, guess what? Now it's not good.
Right.
3 years ago, we had a company, I talked to a firm today. One city block to come in and tear it up and redo it. $1 million.
That's Burn Street. They fit, when he was the mayor, they, $1.5 million, and
Now-
it's already tore up.
Okay.
That was what, 4 years, 5
So
years
now
ago?
let me tell you, this is what I tell people. We have 14.1 miles of roads in this town. Okay? So you're talking about $14.1 million at $1 million a month, right? Double it.
Yeah,
You know why?
it's not cheap.
Well, not only that, but if you're gonna fix these roads, what are you gonna have to do? Fix the infrastructure underneath them.
Yeah.
Because how many times does the water department go out and have to fix a water leak and cut up the road to get to it, and they get down there and find out that the pipes and everything are 1950s infrastructure? Now we have to do something about that.
Right.
So if you fix the roads, you need to fix the infrastructure underneath them at the same time.
Yeah.
If you don't, you're gonna fix those nice roads, and 6 months later, my favorite saying is, you're gonna be putting lipstick on the pig, because you're gonna be cutting that road up and you've just wasted all that money. And it does no good to take coal mix and throw it in a hole and not have a packer. And the city does all they can do to try to keep that going. I have nothing against what they do. They
Oh,
do
yeah.
what they can with what they have. But folks, I'm gonna guarantee you, the money from the EDC won't touch it. It won't touch it. And that's what they wanna do, is take our money and put it in the general fund so they can say they have it, and I'll guarantee you they'll waste it in 6 months.
Well, and the numbers speak for themselves, and it's not a brag or anything, it's just stating the facts. The facts are that we've had 5 businesses come in. We've had 5 businesses that are visited daily by someone from the EDC to check in and say, how are you, what can we do, and what are you doing? Who right now, or moving forward for that matter, on the city council is allocated to do that job? If we are not here doing the job, who's gonna go do the job on the city council? Who's gonna step out of the council and take on the responsibility of everything that the EDC does and all of the folks that the EDC speaks to? Who's gonna bring jobs? Who on the council? And I said they've been moving forward. Nobody. That's who, nobody's gonna do that. And if I'm wrong, prove me wrong. Tell me who's done it, who's going to do it, and who's doing it now. Because the numbers speak for themselves. So just simply taking the money, the dollar, if you simplify it down like somebody's going around saying it's one of every $3 that will go right back into the coffers. Who are the good stewards? Who have been the good stewards? Who's gonna do it? That's a fair question to ask. And it's not to say that I deserve to still sit here, or anybody. It's to say, if the EDC, like the others that we went and listened to, who are a well-oiled machine, they know how to write for grants. Who's our grant writer? Who's writing grants? Who's helping get money to help the community? There's gotta be grants out there that we can access, especially given the poverty level of this city, to say, that opens a door for this grant. Well, who's writing the grant? Who's taking the time to learn how to do that, how to investigate it, and how to follow through with it?
City of Dangerfield's got enough,
Yeah.
they've got grants that are coming in. They've got 2 new fire trucks ordered.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. But, I mean, good for Dangerfield, because we can learn. Like I say out loud all the time, look at Pittsburgh. They are hitting home runs over in Pittsburgh. They have 2 Kimmys, not 1, but 2 Kimmy gas stations. One has an IHOP and one has a Whataburger.
And, yeah, they just opened up that Whataburger.
Yeah.
not
I
long
mean,
ago.
bravo for them, but that's their EDC at work. That's their city council
And we have-
cooperating. That's having teamwork, and we have no teamwork here. There's not teamwork that's effective, let me say, that between the EDC and the city council that we have. We need to have.
3 years ago, I approached Sonic. Everybody knows what Sonic is.
Mhm.
And I wanted to put a Sonic here in All Stars. And it took them 3 weeks to call me back, and they said, to be quite blunt, your city doesn't deserve a Sonic.
That's disheartening.
I do have, and I will say this, I am working with a real estate group right now. And they are trying to assist us in actively going out and talking to some of the cities that have the bigger stuff. And we're trying to find out what we can do to get an audience with some of those folks to try to get something in here. I mean, part of our problem has been, like I said, we don't have a footprint right now. Well, we're fixing to have one. May not be much of one, but it's something. So we are trying. I mean, we are trying. Part of our problem is they look at traffic patterns. Now, we're not as much as Dangerfield because we're not on 49 or 11 and 259. But we're as good as Or City, and we're not as good as Hugh Springs because we're not on 11 and 250 and 49, and so we're not that. But
The traffic totals that come through Dangerfield in the, what do you call it, Mixmaster or whatever,
Yeah.
you either go to Hugh Springs or you come to Lone Star, right at 15,000
Right.
vehicles a day, each way.
And we have about, I don't have the data in front of me, but I think she sent me the data the other day. It said we have about 6,500 cars that come through here. Now, don't ask me why the drop comes that significant, other than the fact that 49 is there. But, we have the traffic and we have 250 coming in here. One of the things we're promoting is, guys, we're not that far away from the interstates.
That's right.
You know, we're not that far from I-30, we're not that far from Highway 59. You know, we're not that far from Interstate 20. I mean, 30 miles is nothing anymore. So that's some of the stuff, and we have all this rail out here, so we are trying to do that. But in addition to trying to attract those kind of businesses, we're after the mom and pops, the smaller things, the small restaurants, things like that, because if we can get some of those going, that's what's gonna sustain us until we can get something bigger coming.
You gotta start.
So,
You gotta start.
so, so what I wanna do, it's almost, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Lucy, I apologize.
I love the idea that you want to bring businesses in, and I'm all for that.
Sure.
But will you vet the types of businesses that want to come in, or will you just grab at anybody? Because it concerned me that Pizza Hut came in right next door to a pizza shop.
Yeah.
I don't want,
I know.
I don't want something to come next to Arnold's.
You don't wanna
It's gonna-
sacrifice, yes,
No.
I agree with
Yeah.
you, yes,
That's
no.
what you have to.
Right.
yes, no. And that's where we need y'all's input, okay? I mean, that's a great thing to say. Now we need to follow up on that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Now we need 20 other people to come in and say, hey, this is what we think would happen better here than, because we don't wanna sacrifice, I don't wanna sacrifice Arnold's.
Yeah.
You know, they're in the process, she's got it for sale. But we're trying to, they've talked to me about a little bit of stuff, and I'm trying to work with them. The Amber, the girl that works in there, I think they're trying to buy it. So I don't know how that's working out, but I told her, we may not be able to give you money, but whatever we can do to help you, we will be more than happy to help you with it. So, yeah, we want that. They've been here too long to sacrifice them. Yeah, I agree with you. It's a great point. But no, so whatever you have, you know, if you can come up with something, you got all these people to go to, and they're willing to do it.
But if
Some-
someone opened up another restaurant that served, Rabbit Hole's gonna get ready to open up again as a restaurant.
Are there gonna be a game room as well?
No.
There's gonna be
I
three
think-
games, there's
yeah.
gonna be 3 machines in there, it's no smoking. They've redone the whole thing, it's gonna be a restaurant. That's their primary purpose, to work eventually out of the gaming business. That's what they're trying to do. But that's what I've been told by the owners. And so we've got a competition across the street from Arnold's. Is that a problem? No.
It's always been there for a long time.
Yeah, but as far as a restaurant goes, it's serving the same kind of food. So I mean, so like Pizza Hut came in, why did the other pizza place go out? Because they couldn't handle competition.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I
That's
don't-
free enterprise.
Yeah,
Well, this is true, but I still don't want you to, I want you to be careful about who,
Yeah.
the businesses that come in, so that you don't push somebody else
I
out.
agree.
Right,
I
right.
agree.
Because
No,
because
I agree.
competition's
No, we're
healthy.
supporting all businesses.
But-
It doesn't, let me tell you,
And you can have different kinds of restaurants.
Yes,
You
yeah.
don't have to have
yeah,
2 family-style restaurants. I know that Rabbit is a chef, so
Yes.
his might be a
a
different.
different
kind
style of food, yes. And it's like somebody approached me the other day and said, well, why don't we have like an Italian food restaurant? There's nothing around here like that. Well, great deal. I mean, you know, so I've got my feelers out now, reaching out, trying to reach out to some of those folks and see what we can do.
Fast food, fried chicken. That would sell like crazy on this road.
Yeah.
Sunday dinner fried chicken.
You know, and I have to interject too, when you talk about this road, why aren't people stopping? Think about what Route 66 businesses did to capture those customers back in the day. In the 50s, in Route 66, when I say that, what comes to mind? When I say that, the iconic roadside restaurant, or shopette, or souvenir stand, or the signage. We don't have any signage along here to make you want to stop.
Well, that's the basic root of where we start is, we don't have an image, and we have to create an image.
Yes.
Like Mitch said, the best tasting candy bar won't sell unless you put a good wrapper around it.
Yeah,
And we don't have a wrapper around Lone Star
At
that
all.
says, and anything inside can work, but we don't have an image.
right.
And that's something we grab. Jefferson did it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Jefferson wasn't any better than, Jefferson, when we were growing up, man, you could go to Jefferson and get a fight in a 7-Eleven store over there. It was a trashy town.
Or,
But somebody took a hold of it and said, let's take a hold of our heritage, create our image, and the business will come. And we are the center of steel country, an important part of Texas history, and we're missing the point by shotgunning, looking for businesses here and there. Create our image first, and the business will come. And you look at 700 or 200 or 300 people's gonna show up at Rocky Point on April the 8th.
Yeah, we're gonna have.
That's
some
gonna
fun.
increase our sales, it's gonna bring problem, of course, yeah, the problem of having too many people in Lone Star to spend money. They're gonna be here on April the 8th, and we're already seeing that.
You know, I called Rudy the other day, something crossed my mind, and I said, how come we don't have
I gotta go with I'm sorry, I gotta
Yeah,
leave,
what? I'm sorry.
before Dollar General closes, I gotta get
Okay.
something.
I said, how come we
Thank
don't
you for
have
coming.
Thanks, Travis.
Yes, sir.
Let me know if you think something else.
East Texas Professional Credit Union, some type of a facility? View Springs has got one, Dangersville's got one, Omaha's got one.
That's a common.
There is one down there by the.
But they're not using it anymore, you know that?
Active bank.
They told me that they were using it to store their computer equipment, it would never reopen again for
If
anything.
you,
The
if you,
ATM might still work, does it? I don't know.
if you needed to go to the bank, would you drive out there, or would you drive to Dangersville? I'm going to Dangersville, I tell you.
But it's, I mean, you got 3 banks for 1,400 people.
Yep.
But, I mean, you're splitting it,
It's just like this. How come, I stand corrected, maybe. How come we don't have a deputy sheriff that lives in Lone Star, Texas? Omaha's got one, Naples got one,
Well, they need it
the
because
city
they
of
don't have a
Cascade,
police
or in
force.
Morris County's got one. How come we don't have a deputy sheriff working here?
Because that's their choice.
Something else I wanna try to
Whose
get.
choice? Do you pay taxes here? I know you do.
Yeah.
But it's the, I would think it'd be the deputy.
And I have no, it's not the deputy, it's the sheriff.
Yeah.
He's the one that signs it. Why can't the next sheriff, deputy sheriff he hires, you need to live in Lone Star?
I guess that's.
That goes to back up your police department. And we already pay for it.
We're gonna wrap it up here in a minute, but another thing I really wanna see this happen, because I don't wanna lose it. I don't know if you got my email or not, but I think a perfect project, maybe for y'all's LOLs, might be to try to help us save Little Chapel out here.
Done.
It is.
Chapel at the
It's
plant.
done?
We're working on it right now, we're gonna clean it on Tuesday,
What
and we're gonna start.
Chapel Pie.
Good, because,
Plant?
yeah.
Are they
because-
planning on tearing it
Well,
down?
we don't know, but
If
my,
it's historic,
you know, I
they
reached
can.
out to Leslie,
Yeah, if it's
and this is
historic.
my thought process. We get that,
They should.
it designated as a historical deal, we fix that up, that's a perfect thing to offer people to go and bring them to this town. It's a historical deal. People will flock around it, they do it all the time, so why not? Use it, like Norm says, play to the heritage, that's what we wanna do.
Could you actually use that place as a Chamber of Commerce office?
Could be.
Why couldn't you
One
fix
side
that
of it
place
could
up
be.
and have it
It's
give
too
to weddings
small.
and stuff like
It's too
that?
small.
They used to have
The
them all the
Chamber of
time.
Commerce office needs to have a higher presence
Yeah.
than that. So I would say, I mean, that little building, I know it's in
Yeah.
Concord, but that's the perfect Chamber of Commerce, middle of town, right across from the 60s. I don't even know the name of the place there, that little
Foster's
building
property.
up there, it used to be a trucking company. On the left, sitting by itself, nice brick building.
I know what you're talking about.
That'd be a
Well,
perfect place because it's so visible
Yeah.
and not far
Slash
from there.
visitor center,
Yeah, I mean, that'd be right there, visitor center.
main thoroughfare.
Well, before we get out of here tonight, Terry, do you have anything? Josie, Randy, anything? Anybody have anything? We're gonna do this again next month, okay? And I would encourage you to get friends, whatever, to come, because we're gonna go into a little bit more detail on some stuff. I'll have some more stuff. We run, whether people understand this or not, our financial reports, I won't get March's financial report for the EDC until probably the 10th of April. Bank statement comes out on the 1st, but it's hard for me to get that printed out and given to me until probably the 7th or the 8th. That's why sometimes we don't have the information to put in a report to the city council, because we don't give it. But we want, and I'm gonna put some of this stuff out on our Facebook page. If y'all haven't been out there, it's Lone Star Economic Development Corporation, Lone Star Texas Economic, you're welcome. I would encourage you to go out there. Right now, we have almost 350 followers, and I have more people all the time texting me and stuff like that. a lot of positive comments on a lot of different things, and had some people put some questions out there, and I told them if they wanna meet, we'll meet with them. And I've addressed some issues on there, and after I do, they're like, oh, I didn't know this, so, like I said, we have nothing to hide, we're not trying to cut out the Arnolds, we're not trying to circumvent anything, we're trying to make, part of our job is not only bringing in new businesses, keeping the ones we have.
Speaking to that right here, Enrique shared the post that is the for sale listing for Arnold's. Literally, I can read exactly what people are like, why don't you buy it, Enrique?
Yeah,
Somebody else said, whoa, Lone Star is going away.
yeah, no.
Somebody else said, people can't live there, no jobs. I mean, this is where we are,
Yeah.
this is real,
So,
we gotta move
It's-
forward.
other than to tell you, I mean, it's easy for me to say, and I will tell you this, and I'm not gonna go into detail because I can't. We are working on two big companies. Right now, I'm under a non-disclosure agreement, and I can't talk about either one of them, but if one of them comes to fruition, God will shine on this town, and I'm praying it happens. Like I say, we've got a couple of realtors helping us in the background, reaching out to folks, trying to do the things we can, trying to make it to where we have people here who have something to do, to train, to get better jobs. You know, some of the companies we talk to are gonna be hiring maybe $15, $20 an hour jobs. Well, that's not a lot, but guess what? For here, that's a lot. When you don't have a job, and it's like forklift operators, or it's like support jobs that people can do with a little bit of training, you know?
You know
So
what,
if
a
we can
diesel
get that
mechanic
going-
gets paid an hour right now?
Thank you for coming.
About
Probably more than a
$60 an hour.
So,
Yes,
uh,
unfortunately.
we're gonna start probably having a quarterly newsletter come out again. I've got a couple of people that are gonna be working on that. We have a Facebook page. I'm trying my best to get us a web page up. If you'll look over there on the wall, you see that sign? There's fixing to be a sign like that that's going up on the north end of town and one on the south end of town. Okay? We're also in the process of, we're getting people are donating us money to start to support our efforts to put lights at the park, and also maybe to get the other ball field going. We had, I don't know if you've been down there in the last few days, but I would encourage you to go down there because Lone Star Specialties stepped up to the plate, donated all the wood, the labor, and everything, and now the bleachers are complete. They put all the wood on there, there's seats, there's everything. So if you see those guys, give them kudos. I try to give them kudos all the time. And I told him, I said, why don't you let me make you a sign and put it up at the ball field? He said, I don't want that. He said, I want to see kids here playing, and what you're doing is what I want to see. I said, it's not me, it's EDC. So that's what I want to see.
Is that Lone Star Logistics or Lone Star Specialties?
Specialties. I know.
Christmas.
I fixed it. I screwed it up right under
Christmas.
specialties.
Riley Tar.
Yes.
Okay,
Rodney
Right.
Bird and his group.
I wanna make sure
So,
that
yeah.
they're
So we're
banked.
slowly but surely, there are a few companies that we're talking to maybe try to start helping us out with stuff like that. If the weather holds out Saturday, we're supposed to have 2 ball games there, league ball games from Dangerfield, or no, I'm sorry, from Hugh Springs. There's one TNU softball game that I know of, and I'm not sure about the other one. I've gotta go down and drag the field if it doesn't get inundated with rain and get set up for Saturday, so that's a good thing. It's always good to see people coming in here. Maybe they'll stop and buy a Coke or get gas or do something while they're here that'll help us out, you know? If they spend $5, that's $5 they spent here that we didn't have in the coffer before, so. Anyway, if y'all can think of anything else, please reach out. We're here for y'all. We wanna do what's right. You know, if you wanna participate on something, if you wanna be on a committee or something like that, we can put you with somebody, and, you know, we need everybody we can to be on board with everything. So whatever we can do. Do y'all, before we get out of here, do y'all have any questions, any input, anything y'all, you know, Leslie, that was great. I'm glad you brought that up, because I wanted everybody to know, we're not in it to kill anybody. If you can think of something, if you got a business or something, or know somebody that has one, have them holler at us. You know, we're more than happy to talk to them and whatever we can do to make it out. I will tell you this, there's a possibility, Big Ben's will be relocating. Right now, they have been in negotiations, and I talked to them today. I have another meeting scheduled for next week. There's a possibility they will be moving into Crumps.
Okay, not getting out of the city,
No,
staying in the city.
No, that was what they were, this was what their fear was. Their fear was, you're gonna get rid of the EDC, and if you do, we're moving. Well, I'm gonna guarantee you, that business did, well over $200,000 gross last year, not bad for a first-year business. But they're wanting to move into Crumps if we can work out all the arrangements. If that happens, I've been talking to Huckleberries, and they're wanting to expand their business and take over that area that Big Ben's has now and do some other stuff there. So we're talking to them about that. I encourage you to stop by and talk to those folks and tell them how much we appreciate them. You know, it's frustrating for me when because I go into these places all the time. Fernando down to the Zesters, I stop in there 3 or 4 times a week. He'll stop me and he'll come to my house and we'll stand outside and talk about things like that, about businesses coming in, trying to get things going. He's trying to help us. They want to see people in this town stop in and say, hey, we're glad you're here. That's all they're after.
Does Roger know how unions does business?
Sorry?
Roger know how unions does business?
I'll tell you. But anyway, so we encourage you to go out and talk to them. I will let you guys know. I will post it again when we're gonna happen. Have another meeting. I'll get Cody to put it on the sign again. If he'll do that for us, that'll help us out. And if you have anything else, you know, comments, questions, concerns, send it to any one of us. I plan on putting a list out there with everybody's phone number and contact information, so it's easy to get a hold of anybody. We'll go forth and conquer.
Let's get more people in here next month.
Yeah, we need to have as many as we can get.
This was
Thank y'all for
actually a
coming.
nice meeting, nobody was fussing and arguing. It was
Not
nice.
gonna be. We're not into that.
Trying to get
So, thank y'all for coming.
Oh, and the grill up front